Hey, welcome into Juck on Bucks, the post-game show live. The Buckeyes are finally back, defeat the Akron Zips, my hometown boys. We're going to break this sucker all the way down. We got some guests coming on to join me. Amazing to see our guys back out there. So much fun to see JJ out there getting force-fed the ball after the drop in the penalty on the first possession. I absolutely loved it. We got some sacks. We got, 3 turnovers. Tons to talk about. The boys wanted a shutout. Jack Sawyer said he was pissed last year. They had a couple of shots at it. Both of them got spoiled later on. And they didn't need to worry about that today because the Zips came out, got a field goal on the first possession. Just like last year, we rarely come out hot. I thought we'd see something this different today based on the opponent, based on the juice that this team has. But, we started slow again. We can't have that this year. Obviously, you get a pass game one, but we've heard that same halftime speech from Ryan Day too many times. Sloppy execution, got to clean this up, got to clean that up. 17-3 at the half against Akron, a team that was terrible last year, but I got to say, they were pretty game today. That looks like a pretty doggone good MAC team to me. And they got a couple of dudes for sure. But hell of a lot of good to take away from this game too. A lot of great stuff. Got the W, got the butterflies out of the way. These guys are under a lot of pressure. The coaching staff is under a lot of pressure. Let's start with the great stuff. Will Howard looked like an absolute dude. He ran the offense. He looked like he ran this offense like he was the Big Ten winning quarterback last year, not the Big 12 winning quarterback. Looked like he's been in this offense for years. He was cool. He was collected. He absolutely owned it. He was smiling. I was surprised, really. Like, he looked so chill. Really exciting stuff. That first touchdown pass to JJ, perfectly placed. The second one to JJ was an absolute bullet, perfectly placed. He scrambled once for that big pickup. That's not usually what he does when he runs. I think he had something like 4 scrambles last year. So that was really good. He inspired a whole lot of confidence in the team. He inspired a lot of confidence in me. I was not quite so sure how he was going to look out there today. Really exciting. JJ, man, I was hoping that they would get him involved and get him involved early. He had 7 total targets, 6 of them in the first half. That's amazing. 5 of those after that drop on the very first series. Going back to him, I think, is a great move. I mean, when you do that with a kid, you're trying to build his confidence back up. I don't think he was going to be shaken at all, but I did like to see them go back to him. He's just different, totally different. And we thought we didn't even see any of his crazy stuff today until they showed us the replay that he caught that long one with one hand, which was so cool, man. I didn't even notice it the first time. We kind of saw him from behind, but that was so cool. And I think that the rest of the country is going to find out real soon, man. What do you think he would have scored on that first ball? Somebody said to me that my son said that he thinks that JJ would have scored if he caught that first one that he dropped. It happened really fast. I'll have to check that out on the second watch around. One of the big questions heading in today for me was the defensive line, how they were going to handle the rotation. In the second series of the game, we had Caden in there, Kenyatta in there, K-Mac was in there. I think I saw Hero in there. We saw Mitchell Melton early on. Caden Curry caused a fumble. Mitchell had a really great play. Caden Curry caused that fumble. Gary Danielson, who, by the way, was awful, credited that to Hero. That wasn't Hero. That was Caden Curry. Props to him. Been waiting for that dude to bust out forever. Awesome play by him. With Cody Simon out, we saw Sonny wearing the green dot. He moved over to Mike, and CJ started at will. CJ had a great sack. We saw Arvell Reese in early. He played pretty solid. But that was one of my big questions of the day. How are they going to play the depth? And when we look at a game like Clemson and Georgia early on today, Georgia just wore Clemson down. They wore them down. And when you got a crew like the Buckeyes got, the 2 deep on this defensive line, and you're playing them like this, keeping them fresh, nobody's going to wear them down. And it was fantastic to see. I think this is what a lot of us wanted to see. Play that depth early in more of a rotation. on that defensive line in particular. Those turnovers, man, we had Denzel with that sweet gift pick. I mean, a heads up play by him, but kind of a gift. Lathan Ransom with the scoop and score that Curry caused. And that last one, as I was just finishing up my notes here, the Gabe Powers one, I couldn't see from my vantage point. I got a small TV over there, but I heard him say Edric tipped it. I'm not sure if that's what happened. You guys can tell me. James Peoples, guys. Wow. You didn't need to see but one carry to realize this dude's got the juice that they all said he did. Looked absolutely fantastic. He's going to be a star. It's plain as day, perfectly obvious. The not so good. The offensive line, the biggest question that we had entering spring that was supposedly getting nothing but great marks in fall and coming into today, they weren't so hot. Obviously, they were missing Donovan Jackson. Austin Siereveld started in his spot at right guard. Tegra Shabola and Carson Hinsman were kind of flip-flopping in the beginning there. And we saw quite a few missed assignments. When you're playing Akron, you're missing a starter. So you give him a little bit of grace, but you're playing Akron. So missing one guy should not be an excuse for missed assignments. And we saw several. There was one play when Carson Hinsman and Austin Siereveld pulled out. They both got confused. Neither of them even put a hand on a guy. It was like Josh Fryer got cooked a couple times by Nunley, who is honestly, that defensive end is a stud. He's really good. I think he could play. I think he could be good in the Big Ten. So, but Josh Fryer's going to go against good ends in the Big Ten. He wasn't going against a bum, but, he wasn't so hot. So they got to get it tightened up on the offensive line. That wasn't good enough. Flat out, was not good enough. They were the unit that stood out on the team as not playing as good as everybody else. And that is exactly what we didn't want to see and what we can't see. Couple of random observations. Chip Kelly looks funny in the booth. When they flashed him in the booth, just looks funny. Poor guy's lonely up there. We were told last week by Ryan Day that McClarty, the big Australian, won the punting job. He wasn't punting today. McGuire was punting. I haven't heard why. Dillon's going to join us later from the press conference. I'm sure somebody will ask, and we'll find out why that was. Brandon Innes looks like an absolute natural returning punts. Emeka looks strong. Jelani got in early. Nice to see that. IGB, this guy just cannot help himself from being super physical. Man, he can't help himself, right? It's kind of like, I love it, but at the same time, like, come on, dude. I guess he tried his best, man. He tried his best. He damn near knocked the quarterback out with his back, which is really funny. Oh my gosh, that poor quarterback, bro. On the sidelines, holding his chest, breathing heavy. Jack ate him. Jack ate that guy. That was pretty funny. Kenyatta almost got 2 sacks. He was so close. I wanted it so bad for him. One, he doggone ran right by the guy. He was cooking so fast. The other one, he came so close, man. I hope he pops soon. I think he's gonna. But those are my first random thoughts. I'm sure you guys got a ton, and we're going to talk about them all. Can't wait to see what you got. But we're going to talk to a couple of our buddies. Dan Sanchez is Devin Sanchez's dad. You guys know Dan Sanchez. And Devin played North Shore last night. They shut them out 38-0. These guys did not throw a ball. I'm sorry, Devin plays for North Shore. The opponent they played, they shut them out 38-0. They didn't throw a ball Devin's way the entire game. So Dan's going to join us. We had a little bit of a snafu with the audio. We're going to go back and see if it works here in a minute. Dillon Davis is going to join us from the press conference. Well, right after the press conference. My buddy Ron James is going to join us a little bit later. And let's go to Dan now and see if we can clear these audio issues up. Dan, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
Oh, no. We don't got him. That's all right, guys. We're going to get it cleared up, and Dan is going to join me later on this week, and we will definitely get this cleared up. I know you guys got a ton of questions for him. You told me you did, and we will definitely have him back on. We've been talking about this for a while, and we're definitely going to get it done. So we will have my buddy on a little later this week, and we'll figure those audio issues out. You know, a smart guy would have tried to handle that earlier on, maybe like, I don't know, halftime or something, to make sure that was squared away. But you guys know me. If there wasn't a mistake, it wouldn't be one of my shows. Anyway, Dillon is going to be the next one to join us. And until he does, I am interested to hear your guys' thoughts. So we're going to pull up some of what's going on with you guys because, wow, we're really cooking in here. I know we got a lot. Okay. I knew we were going to get this. Andrew Mueller, a loyal Juck guy and frequent listener and commenter, trash O-line, mid at best run game. Time for reporters to stop asking Day and Fry softball questions. You know, it definitely it was the group that stood out as not up to snuff. It really was. And there's no denying that. Chad Buck says, on the O-line, Tegra looked lost at times. A lot of poor play from CJ Hicks as well. I didn't, it wasn't in my notes here, but boy, there was I think it was missed assignment, sack, then missed assignment for CJ Hicks. Like that little 3-play series, he missed 2 assignments and then had a great play. And it's just like, this is what we've always heard about CJ, right? He's got to get more consistent. He's got to get more consistent. You're absolutely right, Chad. You're absolutely right. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't. It really wasn't. Chad again. Unless he's on a call blitz, he plays hesitant and takes poor angles. He does. Also, there was a couple mental miscues. Malachi thinks Kyle McCord was clearly the better quarterback today. Woody's our guy, says, I think the first team D played well, got some tackles for loss, sacks, turnovers, and a score. I think they played really good. I think they played real good. I was very happy. And the fact that we got so many of the, like Gary Danielson said late, and you're looking at these are the second string guys. Like they were in there on the second possession. So that was fantastic to see. RD's Beard says they look pretty damn good today. Like all in all, I mean, the second half was fantastic. You know, it's just the slow starts. Absolutely got to get those cleaned up, man. Those slow starts are just killing us. They killed us all year last year. Can we talk about what a difference between Will Howard and his calm, cool collectiveness versus what we saw last year? And even DB, you know, DB, like one of my criticisms of DB is he always looks so frantic. Will was just so chill, man. Did you see the smile on his face? Like he's just smiling. Like I can't wait to rewatch this thing again. Tesla Weaver says Jeremiah Smith is going to win the Blitnikoff as a true freshman. Where is the lie? Listen, I mean, like if they are going to, one of my things was I want to make sure he gets his targets. I don't want this to be a situation where he has a freshman year like some of our other really good wide receivers have had, where they're just kind of learning the ropes. Try to run the offense through him right away. Run the passing game through him. And it looked like today that's what they're going to try to do. If they keep that up, I don't see any reason why he can't be at least a finalist. He's amazing. We all know he's amazing. It's time for the rest of the country to see. It's just so great. So I was, maybe DB was pressing a bit. Got to show out when you get the opportunity. I was finishing up my notes here. I didn't get to see DB. It was on. I was listening, but I did not get to see how DB looked. It doesn't sound like he looked good according to you guys. What I did think, though, and Chad Buck says, yeah, I agree. I would love to see what Sayin looks like. I've heard he's very accurate, and that's Devin's downfall. I kind of thought that we were going to try to see, and maybe we would have if they'd have come out faster in the first half, that we were going to try to see them get DB in a little bit earlier so they could get Sayin in a little bit at the end. Andrew's not feeling it today. Pressing. He's a junior. He's never been good in games. Time to move on and stop making excuses. Not a big fan of DB's performance today. And again, I did not see it. Woody's thinks about DB. He's not making excuses for him. He's lost 2 quarterback battles now, and he's probably seeing the writing on the wall. It's understandable. These guys are still young men. There's a lot of pressure. There absolutely is, man. I got nothing but good things to say about DB. I mean, it doesn't seem like he's ever going to be the quarterback here, to me, but the guy's a great Buckeye. You know, that's why I don't really like bagging on him. I don't think we should. You know what I mean? I do hope that he's ready if he's called upon. And I can't wait to see that last, he was in just that last couple of possessions. Just like what he said. Glad they got Howard, but still want to see DB do good. He's a Buckeye. He's a great Buckeye. He's awesome. And Riley Ross, Miami absolutely destroyed Florida. Wow. I didn't get to see a ton of that game. I just checked on the score, and I was expecting that it was going to be a little bit closer, though I did have Miami winning and covering. Definitely they got him good. But what about, man, I'm telling you what, that Clemson-Georgia game was something. I kind of thought that was going to be a little closer, especially after the first half. And Georgia just classic crock-potted them, man, just grinded them out. And Clemson had nothing left. Emily was at the game today. Emily, leaving the stadium now. Can't wait to hear your thoughts later, Em. Cool Kid says this defense is going to be nuts by the Oregon game. And let's check what our final defensive stats were. So we had only given up 5 rushing yards at halftime to Akron, which is fantastic. Akron ended up with 47 rushing yards, 130 receiving yards. Pretty stellar. They averaged 1.3 yards per carry. That's ridiculous. 1.3 yards a carry. Lathan Ransom led the team with 8 total tackles, 5 solo. Tyleek had 7 tackles. CJ Hicks ended the game with 6 tackles, same as Sonny with 6. Pretty impressive for CJ on the tackle front. If he can clean up the errors, the guy would be amazing. Kenyatta Jackson gets 3 tackles on the game, and he got a half a sack. Caleb Downs got credited with half a sack. That was the one that he and JT, I guess they credited them each with half a sack. Mitchell Melton with a half a sack. JJ finishes with 6 receptions on 7 targets for 92 yards, 2 touchdowns, 15 yards, 15.3 average. Carnell with 4 receptions, Mech with 4 receptions. Trey with 8 carries and 65 yards for an 8.1 average. Quinshawn 13 for 55, 4.2, and a touchdown. James Peoples 6 for 30, 5 yards a carry. Trey had the juice, man. Trey had that juice. Absolutely had the juice today. Our buddy General Chrome absolutely loved what we saw today. Sean Gurley says, J.J. Smith is the best wide receiver to play at OSU ever. By the time we get to Iowa, NCAA football world is in big trouble. I'm telling you, man. I want to see them force feed this guy. Like, and that's what I was saying. Like, get to Iowa and just keep repping him. By the time we get to some stiff competition, he's going to be he's just going to be unstoppable. He's amazing. And when they start just absolutely adjusting the defense to try to take him away, what are you going to do? Here comes Carnell. Here comes Mech. Here comes Innis. Mr. Black said he did look calm and on target, and boy, did he ever. Perfect fit for us at QB. Oh, old Dick Buck, Juckington. Juckington, my boy. The Dick Buck calls me Juckington. He's a big nickname guy. It is 7:30, and Dylan Davis should be joining us pretty soon after the press conference to let us know what Ryan Day had to say. And I'm very interested to hear about what's happened with the punter situation. We were supposed to get the 6'7" Australian that kicks the ball 90 yards. I wanted to see him. It's Akron, right? Let this dude come out and show us something. Daniel says $10 to win 1,000 with 2 Ohio State defensive touchdowns cashed. Who bet it? Anybody bet it? Oh man, Shepherd Ducks is one of our Buckeyes here. The poor Akron quarterback. Oh man, you felt bad for that guy, but come on, you can't do that on the sideline. You can't be grabbing your chest going like this. Go take it in the tent if you're going to do that. I'm from Akron. You can't represent us like that. Sean says still need improvement with the wide receiver blocking. Several plays, Trey and Q could have been out of there if we set better perimeter blocks. I agree, but I did see Carnell Tate with a couple of really nice ones. Fisherman says Hicks is a rush end. Reese is a better linebacker. Absolutely cannot disagree with that. I just, he's great at that. He's great at rushing the quarterback. He's great at it. He really is. Got a real knack for it. Bucks Forever says Kenyatta looks like the real deal. We've been waiting on it, haven't we? We've definitely been waiting on it. I would sure love to see it because I've had my doubts because a lot of the same talk we've heard about CJ Hicks, we've heard about Kenyatta. The consistency, the compliment from a coach followed up by, but he's got to, and that's kind of what we've gotten out of both of those two. Andrew says, when does Donnie Jackson come back? Searville was terrible. He's got a hamstring injury, and I would probably prefer, I don't know, what do you guys think? I would prefer they leave him out as long as possible for these cream puffs and make sure that thing is healed up totally. We don't need another hamstring situation getting tweaked and keeping him out because, look, let Searville just keep learning. We're not going to lose to any of these guys in the first couple of games. I don't want to see them get rushed back. I don't think they will. But, more than anything, it was mental errors on the offensive line. It was missed assignments. It's not like the guy can't do it. I think he's physically capable of doing it. But you can't miss assignments. Now, Fryer, on the other hand, he was getting physically schooled a couple of plays there. My buddy E says, love seeing Innis on punt return. Man, he looked smooth, like he was born to do it, didn't he? I love that guy's attitude. Absolutely love it. Wish we could have seen him a little bit more involved in the passing game today, but not so much. Sean says, we also need improvement with the tight end blocking, but overall a good start. All 22 film will show some blocking issues. On Quinshawn's touchdown, G. Scott got blown up so bad that the backside defensive end almost stopped Quinn short of the goal line. It was terrible, and it's not going to be a fun film session for G on that play. That's for sure. But you're absolutely right. It wasn't good enough. Okay, here we go. The fellas are telling me that Gabe's touchdown hit off Edric's helmet. Oh, Akron. Buck says Donovan won't be back for 2 to 3 weeks, I think. And you know what? That's just fine. That's just fine. Let him heal up totally. We don't need another situation with a hamstring again. Ohio State looks good. Glad I got to watch it before I walked to the Oregon game. Time to see the number 3 team against Oregon versus Idaho. Yeah, I'm excited to watch that one. I'm probably going to have to watch that on replay tomorrow, but definitely going to check out how the Ducks look against Idaho. And probably going to watch the Team Up North game tomorrow too, so we can do a Know Your Enemy report on Monday. We'll do that in the show, kind of run down how the enemy looked. I watched all of Georgia, so I got them. We'll go over Oregon. We'll go over the Team Up North. And I don't think we need to go over Texas. I don't think they're quite there yet. I really love Fryer, man. I love the dude. Ryan Sims says, right now it seems like normal early season stuff. The defense is ahead of the offense right now, which is what we always see, right? And that's just fine. It's just fine. The defense was fantastic, and they're the bread and butter of this team. The offense, they need to do enough. I just, coming out of camp, it's like you can't just make all these mental errors. You've been sitting there repping this. You come out, and you're making mental errors. It's just annoying. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm sure it's really annoying for the coaching staff. It's annoying for us. Sean says, Howard looked good. I think he'll grade out well. Drops were on the wide receivers. I only saw one bad pass, but the all 22 will tell. Yeah, he was spot on. Spot on. Shepherd Ducks thinks that the Nittany Lions look pretty scary today. I don't know. I didn't quite catch that vibe myself. Did anybody think the Nittany Lions look scary today? Did you guys watch them? They looked all right. I really love that environment at West Virginia, though. That's a really good environment. By the way, not awesome hearing Gary Danielson call out the crowd for not being loud. Game 1 of a season that is the most exciting season we've had in years. That wasn't great. Emily sticking up for DB. Emily, a big DB fan. He was with the threes. People need to chill on Brown. Oh my gosh. She loves her DB, man. You know what I mean? Kevin disagrees. Oh, Daniel Henry says Keon Sabb got a pick for Alabama. Ivan Madera says Justin Fry is no different than Coach Red Bull in terms of we know he should be let go, but Ryan just keeps him for another year when the writing is on the wall. We have heard that he's a great developer and he's doing a great job developing. And he's got to, because, they still got a way to go. And we'll see what happens, but this can't continue to happen, the mental mistakes. Stu says, first game, Juck, you're overreacting. I'm not overreacting. I'm just pointing out what I saw. I don't think it's a big deal. Yeah, it's the first game, but it did happen. They did come out slow. They did make mental errors. You heard the coach say the same thing at halftime. It happened, and they got to knock it off. Last year we saw a lot of slow starts, right? Like, it was a thing we talked about a lot. Woody says the CBS crew was the most disappointing. I take back up what I said about Noah McClarty. I wanted to see that kid boot it, man. Lisa says, hello, go Buckeyes. Are we ready to play Georgia yet? If not, then we need to get there to play for a national championship. You're right. Georgia looked, they didn't, I don't think they started off as slow as us. They looked more on point. Played a much better opponent and ground him down. Oh, General Crum said Brown was not too hot. Yeah, I'm with Scooch. The whole team didn't look good at all the first 2 quarters, but the last two absolutely fantastic. I thought the defensive line looked pretty doggone good the whole game, really. But yeah. Chrome thinks Sane will be taking over second string good enough or fast enough. I don't know, man. They're going to have to get him some reps. And to do that, they're going to have to start fast, you know? Dude, I'm looking at this internet bar, which is dinging. Yesterday, I got knocked off of my live. I got a new internet router, and it is supposed to be the biggest jazz that there ever is, like the best of the best. They don't offer fiber in my area, but if I get dinged off this today, like I just give up. I don't know what else to do. Ollie Grant says Jeremiah Smith should win the Biletnikoff, but he's in the Big Ten, which has a bias against and prompts national voters against Ohio State wide receivers. The Big Ten voted David Bell as the best wide receiver over Olave and Garrett Wilson. Well, I don't know. When's the last time we had a Biletnikoff winner? Steve Latimer says he was 10 for 21 at half versus Akron. That's really, really, really bad. Listen, that was the stat line. His final stat line, 17 for 28 for 228 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. There was a lot of drops, man. A lot of drops. A couple of those were throwaways. I mean, he was good. He was absolutely good. Yeah, Steve, I think he looked really good. I'm not seeing what you're seeing, buddy. Really. I mean, I think you might just be looking at a stat line here. He was calm, cool, collected, a couple of really nice runs. You're getting caught up on a statistic here. Ken's huge on nicknames as well. We got a lot of them on here. Oh, Dago had a final score of 52-3 predicted, and he was just barely off, which is amazing. You know what I heard the other day? I was watching Kings of the North, Bill Landis and Doug Lesmerises. Doug Lesmerises, my favorite Buckeye journalist of all time, and Bill Landis, who I love too. They both correctly predicted the Ohio State-Georgia score. That is amazing. 42-41. They both correctly predicted that score. Isn't that crazy? DeMarcus Carter with the $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. Everyone is overreacting about stuff from a former college player. First game jitters are real. Absolutely. If anybody's overreacting, I think it's more tied into this was the issue last year, right? Slow starts almost every game. If that's what you're talking about, the slow starts. But to me, that's really the only issue. That and missed assignments on the offensive line, you know? But yeah, first game jitters for sure real. All that's real. And they got a ton of pressure. They work the butterflies out. But you do at the same time when you're facing a MAC opponent who's won 4 games in the last like 3 years. You expect to come out and just steamroll. Though I think we might not have given Akron enough credit. They had some really good players on that team, I think. That wasn't some absolute trash team. I think they're going to do pretty good in the MAC this year, and I think Joe Moorhead's a hell of a coach. But thank you. I appreciate that, buddy. Yes. Hangry Veteran says Hero Canoe and Caden Curry were making plays, and yes, they were. I'm telling you, man, I really like Hero Canoe. I really like him. He looked fantastic today. He's so big, man. He's just a moose, and he can move. Kevin says the area of concern is the O-line with the run game. Not enough room for Judkins to operate. Have to give Akron's front seven some credit, though. Yeah, and I do, for sure. They look pretty doggone good. Ooh, we got some people who are really unhappy with the offensive line performance today. Hawk City thinks it sucks. I mean, you would have liked to see better game one, but it's just game one. Steve says, if you think Howard lived up to Ohio State standards, you need to raise your standards. Again, Steve, I don't think you're going to find anybody who doesn't say, like, he played a pretty damn good game. Honestly, it was a good game. He played a really good game. I like to see, I don't have the full stats, but, they track drops. We're going to see a lot of drops. We're going to see a lot of throwaways, which were the proper decisions when he threw it away. Ooh, how about this one? Jonathan Regan says that block pickup by Trey, it was awesome. Did you guys see that, man? Absolutely smashed that dude. Love to see that. Andrew says the run blocking was shockingly bad in quarter one. And that one of my 10 things that we need to see for this game was I want to see the offensive line dominate, come out and play with that chip on their shoulder that they were talking about that they were going to be playing with. Fryer said last week, everybody wanted me replaced. Seth McLaughlin is the worst center in the country. If Donovan Jackson was any good, he would already been in the NFL. Josh Simmons is the San Diego State guy. And they were going to come out and play with a chip on their shoulder. I wanted to see them come out and absolutely take it to him, get a big push, really no excuse not to. You've got these guys on paper really overmatched, and we didn't see it. It's disappointing. I don't think it's a huge deal just yet. It's game one, first half, but it's disappointing nonetheless, especially when everybody else all the other units look pretty doggone good to me. Emily thought Jelani looked good. Trey put bro in the multiverse. Steve thinks that we should start getting Julian Sayin experience because we can't win it all with Howard. Julian might be able to do it. Yeah, that's not going to happen, bud. There's no chance that's going to happen. So Jonathan, this is where I'm at, thinks Will Howard looked very good, miles ahead of what we ever saw from McCord. And you can see it in his very first game at Ohio State. The poise, just the smiling, everything about him exudes confidence. He got it done when he needed to in the run game. Let me see here. So he actually ran the ball 4 times for 18 yards. One was a long scramble. I don't know if they're counting sacks again. Did he get sacked today? I don't know. These things aren't sack adjusted, which is always annoying. I hate the way they do this in college with the sacks. It's really obnoxious. But he had that one scramble, which was excellent. And then the one designed run early on. Those are two. The design run wasn't a first down. It was like a 9-yard pickup. But those are 2 first down plays you're not getting out of McCord. And his passing game was way better than McCord. I don't know, man. Yeah, the stat line doesn't look fantastic. But watching the game, it looked better than a 17 for 28 performance to me. You had some frustrating drops. You had some pressures. There were a couple throwaways, and he had to. Those are the right plays. Oh, no. Richie Dubs says Keon Sabb just picked another one. That sucks. DeMarcus says, forgot to add this. Thank you, Juck, for your content. And another $4.99. Thank you, man. That's amazing. I appreciate that, buddy. General Chrome, thank you, bro. The same people who hated CJ Stroud are the same ones complaining about quarterback play today because Stroud raised the bar that high. Howard looked good. I totally agree. I think Howard looked quite good. And I got to be honest, man. I actually made a video about this. There were a lot of fans who didn't really ever embrace CJ Stroud. And I was one of them. I never fully embraced him. I never fully appreciated him at Ohio State. And I absolutely had the wrong vibe about him as a leader. I didn't realize what a great leader he really was until we got to see this behind the scene footage when he's at Houston and just his style. I thought that the way he came off towards the media was just like bitter and angry, but really what it was he was like internalizing it like it's an us versus them, like the team versus everybody, including the people who criticize the team in the fan base. I read him all wrong. I didn't appreciate him as much as I wished I had. And I learned a hell of a lesson from him. You know what I mean? Like, so, we all make mistakes. I definitely made one with CJ Stroud. Wished I hadn't, but I did not appreciate him as much as I could have or should have. Rod says South Carolina tied with Old Dominion in the fourth quarter. Are you kidding me? Rod says Orgy's in. Did he start? Dago loved Will's pocket presence. It was fantastic. He looks great back there. I don't know, like I was extremely happy about him, like extremely happy. Gary Danielson is the biggest Big Ten and Buckeye hater there ever was, and he waxed on poetically about him. Unreconstructed said Georgia looked like a team capable of winning a natty. The Buckeyes looked like a team waiting to gel. After all this summer hype, well, we better at least beat Michigan. I think that Georgia looked like a team capable of winning a natty, and the Buckeyes looked like a team in a couple of areas waiting to gel. I think there were other areas that absolutely looked national championship caliber. I think BIA, I think the defensive line. Waiting to see on Will Howard, but so far so good. I get what you're saying, though. They definitely looked really, really good. Georgia, that is. Rod says, I'm a Bill Landis fan too. Unfortunately, he's a fan of M2S. Well, I'll have Bill on soon with me, and then he'll be on M2S, right? On the station anyway. No, Bill's awesome, man. He's my favorite of that bunch. We're both offensive line guys. We kind of gel. Andrew Mueller says there were literally like 6 drops. Who just looks at completions and attempts? Well, we already know. I forget his name, but he told us already. Andrew says Hero Canoe is the real deal, a future star. I've been talking about Hero for a while, guys. I'm telling you, Hero is legit. And for some reason, he's a guy that we just did not hear much about. Jason Moore, Caden McDonald, all the buzz about those two. Hero is like this forgotten guy. But no, man, Hero is legit that dude. He really is. I think we're going to see a lot more Canoe. And the way this defensive line rotated was amazing. Rod says, is Marcus Freeman able to give an interview without giving over-exaggerated hand gestures? As someone who gets made fun of for my exaggerated hand gestures, I'm not going to bag on Marcus about it. I get that quite a bit. I get challenged to talk without moving my hands. Dan says, Will Howard's performance way better than his stat line. Honda would have taken at least 3 to 4 sacks that game. And that's, absolutely spot on. We all know it. It would have been a disaster. The same exact game with him in there. Totally different feel, totally different look. Chocolate chip scoochie hoochie with the $4.99 super chat. Thanks, buddy. Steve has to be a troll because Will was the only one good from the jump. The best first-time Ohio State quarterback season opener I've seen in a long time. I think you're right. That was an amazing first start. I mean, we'd have to go back and think of all of them, but that was a great first start. Obviously, he's more experienced than all of them. Cursed Design says, Juck, I talk with my hands too. Us Italians just do that. That's what they say. Scooch says, Georgia looked really good, but Cade Klubnik was so darn bad. He single-handedly was the reason Clemson didn't do anything. He couldn't throw a wheel route to the halfback. I don't know, man. I don't know. I saw him put a couple of balls on the money. I thought that was more a situation of Georgia just absolutely wearing down that defense, and they just don't have the bodies to compete with that offensive attack. And eventually they caved. They just caved. Georgia's not going to be able to do that to Ohio State. They can't do that to Ohio State with this defense as deep as it is. They absolutely can't. So, they're good. They're definitely good. I feel like they're a little better than I thought they were. I wasn't happy. We'll put it that way. After the first half, I was pretty happy. I thought that I was like, okay, I was right about these guys. They are overrated. But man, that second half, it's just like, you know what it reminded me of? It just reminded me of the old crock-potting term. Like they used to say it about Alabama. Eventually, they just end up like in a game that looks tight, right? The game looked tight. It goes in tight at half. And then it's a blowout by the end of the game. And like nothing really, it wasn't like a big play by big play. It was just like wore them down, just ate them up like a crock pot, slowly cooked them and just broke them down. And that kind of stuff, that's scary. That's really scary. Cursed Design says, JT looked good today, which was nice. He really did. He had that sack. He looked fast on that sack. But, man, Jack was fantastic. I don't think he really let's see what if he had any stats logged. But Jack's pressures, man, he was all over the place. Jack looked good. Two total tackles was Jack's stat line. But, he had a lot of pressures. He looked really, really good. I'm really happy about Jack's performance. Josh Mickens did end up getting in, as did Tywone Malone. Tywone Malone recorded a tackle. Josh Mickens recorded a tackle. Larry had talked about Joshua Mickens. Said that Joshua Mickens came out of nowhere and had a really good really good preseason camp, which was surprising because we hadn't heard about Joshua Mickens in a long time, other than Josh Mickens is too small. He should be in the linebacker room. Like that's what we always hear about Joshua Mickens. And all of a sudden the dude gains 30 pounds and you got Larry Johnson talking about he came out of nowhere to have a great camp. He gets to play. And that's great. Good for him. Tywone Malone too. Dylan Davis, a big Tywone Malone guy. And he's been talking him up for a while now. Low Styles got in on which sack was it? It was the Caleb Downs sack. On the Caleb Downs sack, they went to dime. Lorenzo Styles got in on that play, and they put Caleb up at the line. So Low Styles got in. He recorded a tackle. the number of guys that recorded a tackle on the day, pretty doggone long. Like they played everybody. Jalen McClain got a tackle. Jermaine had that sweet tackle. I love the main man. Steve says Howard was fine. There were a couple of drops. Yeah, there were quite a few drops. Kenneth says Clemson doesn't have the depth. No, they absolutely don't. We do. Jack was the real deal. I think Jack is absolutely going to continue what we saw at the end of last year. I'm really excited for him. You know, he damn near knocked him out of the game. You know, that's just as effective. So, hey, let's bring on my buddy Ron. What do you think, guys? Earlier this week, I was on the Best Damn Media, the morning roast with my buddy Ron, James, and Q. And Ron and I were talking, and we were talking about JJ. And I said, I would really love to see the offense really focus on getting JJ some targets, man. I want to see JJ get some targets. And we talked about how many do you think is acceptable to get JJ? And Ron said 3. I want more than 3. Happily today, JJ had 6 in the first half, 7 targets total, and boy, did he produce. So let's bring on Ron and talk about it. Ronnie!
Juck, how you doing?
Oh, shit. I can't hear you, bro.
Can you hear me? Hello?
What's going on here?
Hello?
Ron, you there?
We here?
You got to be kidding me.
Can you hear
I'm
me?
0 for 2. This has got to be on my end. This is really embarrassing. I'm sorry,
hello?
bro. I don't know what I did. I couldn't hear Dan either. Oh, welcome to Juck Live. This is how we do it here, man. Where's Chris when you need him for some tech stuff? Unbelievable. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm lost. I'm lost, guys. I don't know what to tell you. I haven't changed anything. It's always been the same deal. I just bring the guys up, and there they are. And all of a sudden, I can't hear Ron. So we'll have to double back on that. We'll follow up with him tomorrow, and we're going to have Dan Sanchez on again later on this week, which you guys will probably enjoy more anyway, because we can hit him with all the Devin questions and the recruiting questions. But he and I have been talking about doing an episode for a while now, and that'll be a lot of fun. So we'll plan that. We'll do a live. I'll figure out how to get his voice on here. We'll have me and Dan Sanchez. We'll schedule that. You guys can ask him some questions. It'll be sweet, and we'll have a hell of a time. Let me just text Ron here for a second. Sorry, guys. Anyway, that also means that we're not going to be able to get Dillon on because, as usual, we've got a hiccup on a Juck on Bucks Live. Gabe Powers with the pick 6 was awesome to see. I love seeing Gabe get some run, man. Gabe's a really good dude. He's put in his work, and it kind of seems like we've got Arvell kind of hopping him on the depth chart. You know what I mean? So nice to see him get a little run, have a big play, and that's great. No, I have not seen this. Wait a minute. Oh, I'm catching up. You guys hear him? Wait a minute. Hold on a second. All right, I'm going to try it again if you guys hear him. Ron.
We're here.
All right. Ron's going to take over. I'm going to call Chris and see what happens.
Well, thankful to be here on Menace to Sports. Back a second time today. I'm rarely ever on this channel, but glad that I can help Juck out here. The Buckeyes get it done, man. I saw a lot of people wanting to nitpick this game and complain the offensive line, the missed tackles. I personally took this weekend as an opportunity to celebrate and enjoy my Buckeyes. We waited so long for the Buckeyes to return, and they're finally back, and there's absolutely no way within the first 24 hours of the season returning am I complaining about a 52-6 win. I have 5 episodes of a show to do this week where I can nitpick and criticize, man. I want to enjoy my Saturday. The Buckeyes just won. It feels like the people that wanted to complain about missing mascot mode when College Football 25 came out. It's like we waited 12 years for the game, and you guys are complaining about mascot mode. We had a first-time starter at right guard. Our starting left guard was out. Yes, there's going to be struggles. They made it 3 quarters without giving up a sack. You got to give these guys time to figure it out. Cody Simon, our starting middle linebacker, out. CJ Hicks comes in, plays, missed a few tackles. It's making me start to wonder if he's playing the right position. But overall, there's not many things I can complain about. One of the biggest concerns I had coming into this season was with Will Howard having the deficiencies that he has as far as throwing the ball downfield. Is he going to be able to run and execute Ryan Day's offense that requires to make you make NFL passes? And, I mean, he put my concerns to bed early in this game because I was wondering, Brian Hartline and Zach have built Zone 6 to be one of the most dominant position rooms in all of college football. And would we see a drop-off in that room of production with Will Howard, with Chip Kelly, a guy that really doesn't completely air it out deep? And you see Jeremiah Smith get on the board with 2 touchdowns, 92 yards and 2 touchdowns. I want you guys to let me know in the chat, did Jeremiah live up to his expectations and what you saw out of him in his first start in the shoot? Got off to a little bit of a rocky start, and I know Buckeye fans around the nation were holding their breath given all of the hype surrounding this kid, and you could honestly see in that moment how ridiculous the hype and pressure is on a kid to perform. When you're the number 1 player in the class, you see him come out with the early drop, and then he was lights out the absolute rest of the day. And then you saw the SFE kids continue to live up to the billing. You hear me say SFE, those 3 letters, over and over and over again, because they have built one of the most elite 7-on-7 programs, and you see it all across college football, not just at Ohio State. SFE alumni Mark Fletcher down at Miami putting up 2 touchdowns. Xavier Restrepo spinning so hard that a guy, I think, blew out his ACL trying to tackle him. And then you see Carnell Tate get on the board, matching his freshman season touchdown total in game 1 against Akron, getting on the board with a touchdown today. And then Brandon Ennis bringing life into the special teams that we have not seen. And guys, please let me know in the chat who you think the most dynamic returner that we have seen in the Ryan Day era prior to Brandon Ennis. He guaranteed during the offseason that he would return a punt. And with the way he looked today, it looks like it's going to happen. Like with Brandon Ennis back there, we talk about how important it is to be able to make the first guy miss. And he did that on every single punt that he fielded. It is only a matter of time before this guy takes one back to the house. I see in the chat, Carnell Tate is amazing. You saw Jaden Ballard back there on kick return, a guy with crazy speed, but Carnell Tate is another name that has been thrown into the mix for kick returning duties. And with the way that Brandon Ennis looked back there at punt, I wouldn't be too mad to see Carnell Tate give it a try back there at kick return. If you've seen his highlights at IMG, that was something that he did on the regular. He has deceptive speed, and I feel like it gets lost with some of the longer striders and bigger guys. Carnell Tate can absolutely move, but it doesn't look as fast because he's just such a long strider. But don't you get it twisted. He is absolutely moving out there. I see Juck back on screen, but he hasn't reacted, so I'm not sure that he can actually hear me. Can you hear me?
I got you, brother.
We are back.
Man, I couldn't agree more about the Tate thing. He does look slow. He looks slower than he is. It's those strides. They're so long. It's kind of like TP, man.
I was just thinking that a guy that doesn't look fast on film, but then you watch him have the longest run by a quarterback in NFL history, and you see Troy Polamalu, an absolute lightning bolt on defense, chasing him down, closing zero ground on him.
Yep. It's the truth, man. He reminds me. It's TP always looked like he was running slow to me, and you just would see him eat up 5 yards per stride. Like, oh, I get it. But yeah, man, Tate looked really, really good. What a game, dude. I was pumped. I hated the slow start just because last year we had so many of them, so many slow starts last year. Obviously, I give him a pass game one. It's just like if there was one thing I didn't want to see, and it was on my list of 10 things, like I want to finally see these guys come out right off the rip and just take it to somebody and pound them out early. We didn't get to see that, but that second half was excellent. I loved it. There were some things that need cleaned up for sure. Donovan Jackson, obviously.
I definitely think it's early to crucify them on the slow start, just because I was asking during the halftime space, who in the nation came out and looked like a world beater from down one outside of Miami? I mean, Miami struggled a little bit. Cam Ward had an early interception before he started to really run up the score. Now, if these early struggles continue and it becomes a pattern of what we saw last year, definitely it's time to really, hold the feet to the fire as far as what is this coaching staff doing, especially with two offensive minds like Chip Kelly and Ryan Day, that they're not able to script an offensive drive. You've had the whole offseason, and we're playing Akron.
Yeah. But you're absolutely right. Everybody started pretty rough this week. And it was like, I'm watching these games earlier and I'm just like, man, how do I forget this every year? Bet the under. Just bet the under on all these games. You're going to win money because everybody started slow.
The easiest way to remember it is right when college football seasons, remember, there's going to be an 18-year-old making a decision on if you're going to hit your parlay or not. You're putting the fate in the hands of 18-year-olds. And then right when you think of that, think about yourself at 18 years old and think if you would bet on yourself to do anything. I would not trust 18-year-old me to bet any type of money on any task being accomplished, especially with all of the things that go into it. I mean, most adults couldn't do anything in front of 100,000 people, let alone play the most violent game in the world. And I feel like that does get forgotten. They are student athletes, despite them driving around Lamborghinis, the chains that you see in the pictures. But at the end of the day, they are still kids. They are still students. And, they can be easily affected by a lot of different factors, so that it does get lost in college sports. But I think we were all reminded almost by every major program, even Kirby Smart's two-time national champion did not look great out the gate to Dabo Wieney's Clemson team that clearly doesn't have an offense.
No, absolutely not. They just got ground to a pulp in that second half by the Dogs. Will Howard final stat line, Ron, 17 for 28 for 228, 3 touchdowns. I think that might have been the best looking 17 for 28 I've ever seen. I thought he looked poised. He was smiling back there. I mean, like he looked like he's been playing in this offense with these guys for several years. Some people are not happy with that stat line. I could not possibly care less about that. He looked like exactly what we needed.
Will showed us something that has been lacking in Columbus since Justin Fields. And while CJ is an amazing talent, that a generational talent, we might say, in the future, if he continues to play like this in the NFL. But when you looked on the sidelines during the Ryan Day, CJ Stroud, Kyle McCord era, I mean, it looked like the Grinch just stole Christmas. Every time you looked at him on sidelines, no juice, no energy. You could see how tight Ryan Day was. And the team took on the identity of Ryan Day, Kyle McCord, and CJ Stroud. And a young CJ, he eventually grew into it, and you saw CJ really come out of his shell and become that leader late in his career at Ohio State. But it took time. CJ was not the guy that we saw against Georgia the day he stepped on campus. And before the game, Will Howard is smiling, looking around in the stands to see who he's sending to give his phone number to for after the game. Like, Will Howard's looking for ladies in the stands, not a care in the world before the game. And he looked ready to go. And to see that guy that was like, I'm going to ball out because we're about to have fun in Columbus tonight because we're about to show everyone why we're the biggest draw in town. And to see that energy and see that confidence, even to have the play sheet out of Ryan Day's hand so he can't get lemon booty, and you got Chip Kelly up in the booth and his stress can't be exuded onto Will Howard. I think his energy, his confidence, his comfort, I mean, he's disappointed in years past at Kansas State. It wasn't all roses there. He's been through the ups and downs. He's lost his job. He's not been the starter. He's come in and not been the guy. It's been his team from the start. He has done everything that we've asked, or everything you could possibly do as a quarterback in college football. And I feel like that showed before he even threw a pass. His calm collectiveness on the sidelines, I feel, is like something that cannot be discounted of what he brings to this team.
I'm totally with you. And I think that anybody who watched that and didn't feel excited and confident about what we just saw from that guy, I don't know what they're watching, man. We've not seen that in a long time. Like, that was a totally different feel. That guy was exactly what we've been looking for. It's exactly what you need on a team like this that has all these other pieces. You need that attitude, that guy. And he put balls on the money all day. He really did.
One of his most impressive throws was that rollout to the right, and he just threw a dot to Jeremiah at the sidelines. And I'm like, and I hate to evoke this name, but it felt like JJ McCarthy-esque, because it felt like anytime that team was on third down, he was going to go out there and say what you want about JJ McCarthy. I hate the fact of what he's been able to do to my team. The dude is a gamer. When the game is on the line, when it is third and short, when it is a fourth down situation, that dude is going to make the play that he needs to make. And it feels like Will Howard has a little bit of that in him. And to see him be able to deliver a strike like that on the run, you read off Will Howard's statistics, and the one that wasn't in there that I think is the most impressive thing were sacks avoided, because I counted 3 or 4 sacks that would have been guaranteed sacks last year with that quarterback, and potentially even with CJ Stroud. I know CJ was able to get the ball out quicker than Kyle and had better reads, but as far as mobility, I mean, yes, it's a tier down from Justin Fields, but I mean, it is definitely an upgrade over what we've seen the last 3 years as far as mobility from a quarterback.
Yeah, and his natural feel in that pocket, it's something that it just comes with all the experience he has, along with that confidence. I feel great about that. Austin Searveld, not so hot today. Carson Hinsman came in a little bit early for Tegra. They were kind of flip-flopping at right guard. They missed some assignments. To be expected, I guess, but you'd like to see coming right out of camp. I can deal with getting beat here and there, but I don't like the mental mistakes. That's bothersome. You're going to have a little bit of that. CJ Hicks had quite a few mental mistakes, I noticed. You mentioned, I thought I caught you when I was talking to Chris, you think he might be out of position. I missed what you were saying about that.
I think CJ's out of position. It feels like a Baron Browning 2.0. This guy's a 3-4 linebacker being asked to play Will in a 4-2. It's just this guy. Everybody's like, oh, when he pins back his ears and rushes and he blitzes, he could lead the team in sacks. I was like, oh, almost like he's an edge. Everybody, I was eviscerated in my own comments on the Buckeye Roast when I said, if CJ Hicks leads this team in sacks, we have a problem. And like, what do you mean? We're a university of linebacker, great linebacker plays. Bro, this isn't 2004. Like, CJ Hicks, 1, is a backup, and 2, he should be playing on the edge. If he is leading the team in sacks, that means Jack and JT aren't getting to the quarterback. Yeah. And 2, that our backup linebacker is somehow making major plays in the backfield for some reason and should be playing more if he's already leading the team in sacks. So, like, this idea that, like, CJ Hicks is going to lead this team in sacks, how about we, tap him on his shoulder, get you a nice, pretty red shirt, you hang out with Mick the rest of the year, and meet your new coach, Larry Johnson, because you play defensive line now. I feel like we could potentially be living Baron Browning 2.0, where this guy, we've been trying to play him out of position, and then he's going to go to the NFL and get in a scheme that fits what he can do and him play his natural position. Was I wrong when I was screaming for him to play over Tommy Eichenberg and Still Chambers? I'm not quite ready to commit to that statement because I don't think he was that size, and I feel like his weight is currently contributing to his lateral movement. But I feel like the CJ Hicks experiment at will needs to come to an end, and it is time for him to make a business decision and play outside linebacker in a scheme that fits him or play defensive end here.
I wonder if that's been considered. I wonder if it has. I mean, I don't know, man. It just doesn't seem to be clicking still to me. You just see like at this point, I don't know how this is not clicking for this guy, but I saw missed assignment, sack, missed assignment in 3 consecutive plays. And I'm just like, dude, all this time. And every time you hear a coach talk about him, it's the really, really good. And then the need to see more consistency every time. I'm just like, man, I think you're right. I think you're right. He might just be out of position. A tremendous athlete, a great kid, but I don't know. I felt a lot more confident with Arvell in there next to Sonny than I did with Sonny out of position at Mike and him at Will. But
how did you feel about Sonny at linebacker? Because when we were talking about Sonny's move to linebacker in the offseason, Mark, our co-host on the Buckeye Roast, has played football at a very high level, and he has a big thing about linebackers are born that way. You don't convert someone into a linebacker. It takes a different type of mentality to be the size of a linebacker and take on a 300-pound guard. And not just take them on with the physicality necessary to play linebacker at Ohio State and not block shedding like a safety taking on a guard in space, but a linebacker that needs to play closer to the line of scrimmage. And I searched Sonny Styles' name just on Twitter just to see what people were talking about. And I didn't find many tweets about him. And one of the few tweets I did see was about his ability to block shed. Are there any concerns about maybe jumping the gun on this linebacker transition?
I think Cam makes a really good point, to be honest. I do think that is a good point. He was a safety in high school, safety when he came in, and it's going to take a little more time, but there is a certain mentality. I didn't think that, let's put it this way. I expected him to be able to kind of pick this up a little better and a little faster and just maybe make a little more of an impact. I didn't feel like we've quite felt that yet, but he is still learning. But he does make a good point. All in all, I just have so much confidence in that guy being able to do anything with enough reps and enough practice. I don't know. It could just be my affinity I just love the guy, right? I just think he can do anything he wants. So I do feel like at some point he's going to be an excellent linebacker. He's not quite there yet. But no, I don't have a long-term concern about it. And I don't know, man. The guy's just so big. He almost looks like an edge. He was playing safety last year. It's just such a different body type, man. I don't know what you could probably play him if you wanted one body type that could play all 11 positions. You'd pick that guy, right? Like the dude could probably play anywhere. I hope they figure out the best way to utilize him. But
what do you think the best position is for him?
Honestly, if I had my druthers, I think I would have made him an edge. I think that would be I think he would be so dynamic. You look at a guy like Kenyatta, he's almost the size of Kenyatta and he's a way better athlete. And it's just like, it seems to me like that would be a great way to utilize him, but I don't know that in this defense, they would utilize that skill set properly, even on the edge.
Do you think the early enrollment caused a misevaluation?
I can't stand the early enrollment, but yeah, you know what? Imagine if he had grown that extra year in high school and then came in a year bigger.
You're able to justify playing him at safety more when you have a 17-year-old Sonny Styles, and you're like, well, look at his body. He can't play linebacker. He's not ready. Well, obviously, because he's a high school player. Do you think we accelerated and spent too much time with him playing safety because he got here early?
Yeah, you ingrained that into his head for quite a while, you know what I mean? And expected him to make that transition. I mean, they didn't announce that he was making the move till we were a week and a half into spring practice.
And I feel like right now, even at his body size, I feel like him 6 pounds slimmer, his best position, I still think at the moment, is strong safety, and he's not better than Lathan Ransom. So I think it's a moot point. And I feel like that's another reason why they're forcing this square peg round hole thing, that like this whole thing has just kind of been thrown off. Lathan shouldn't have been there. If Sonny was going to play safety, Sonny should have been there. If Sonny wasn't going to be a safety and Lathan was going to be here this long, it seems like this guy should have been preparing to be an edge or a linebacker the entire time. But it's hard to say. It's easy to say that in hindsight when Sonny Styles was one of the biggest playmakers in that Georgia game as a true freshman and showed you why. But again, maybe leaning towards he is a safety. Who knows? It's one of the most curious things, and I feel like it's kind of like the staff is doing the best that they can with the talent to get their best 11 on the field. You hear that phrase a lot, getting our best 11 on the field, and I feel like they're doing the best at doing that. I would much rather see Sonny play out of position than they almost crucified me in Austin, and I said, what if Sonny Styles is the odd man out? If CJ Hicks, and clearly this did not happen, if CJ Hicks was the guy that he was purported to be in the spring, people talking about him making a push for that Will position, if Will and Cody Simon go out there, you're not taking Caleb Downs or Lathan Ransom. I love Sonny to death. He's not a better safety than either one of those guys, and that made the decision that much more difficult because, I mean, if Caleb Downs doesn't come in, I'm not completely rolling out a scenario where you see CJ Hicks, Cody Simon at linebacker, Lathan Ransom shift over to free safety, and Sonny back there at strong safety, because you saw them move Lathan all around the field, and to see Sonny play in that position. And if Caleb Downs doesn't land here, I'm not 1,000% sure that doesn't happen. I
can absolutely see that happening. But can we talk about Lathan for a minute? Like, nothing but Caleb Downs all off season, because it's exciting and it's the shiny new guy and what he did last year. Dude, Lathan Ransom, I think everybody forgot because he was injured. He got no run, no talk. He comes out today and just reminds everybody, like, that's how he played all last year when he was playing healthy. Like, that dude is dynamic. He is excellent. He's a hammer. I love that guy. He is so fun to watch, man. So fun to watch.
I feel like there is a stain on Lathan Ransom that that certain Buckeye fans can't get over, and certain national fans that only have seen Lathan Ransom when he was playing out of position. And I only blame Tanner McAllister and Jim Knowles. And everybody has that image of Lathan in the slot getting absolutely dusted. And so why is our strong safety now being our nickel in man coverage? Because they can't put Tanner McAllister on the field. And I feel like that was him just being asked to do something. That play, I feel like, gets held against Lathan in a negative way, but should be looked at as speaking to how great Lathan was, that it's like, this isn't your position. This dude played this for me for 4 years, but you're so talented, you're going to do it better than him. I know it's not. Do your best. I think it spoke more to how much they trusted Lathan to be versatile and play in multiple places, more than it was an indictment of him for not being able to cover Georgia's fastest receivers in the slot.
I think you're spot on. 31 passes today, 33 rushes, right at about 50-50. I was wondering how this breakdown was going to be. When you look back to 2019, it was 62% rush. So most of the years outside of that were closer to 50-50, slightly leaning towards a couple of percent more passing every year since Ryan Day's been here, except for that 1 year. And I kind of thought that we were going to see this season a little closer to the 62%. Not so far today. Who knows what that'll be? It's Akron. But what do you think as far as that goes? Do you think we'll lean a little heavier towards the rush than we have recently?
I think the numbers will get skewed by non-designed runs later in the season when Will Howard has to make plays with his legs. And I feel like you're seeing a little bit more balance because you're not going to have Will Howard get tackled by an Akron defender if you don't have to. So I think when the games are on the line and they're playing in more meaningful games, I feel like the quarterback run will be what tips that scale, not only just in general on quarterback scrambles, but in the red zone. We talked earlier on the pregame show, Devin Brown getting hurt last year because we had red zone struggles, and they thought that might give them a boost by bringing in someone that can use their legs in the red zone. I think that's something that they will utilize with Will Howard this year.
Absolutely. I agree with you there. I did not get to see Devin Brown. I was taking my notes. Did you see Devin in there?
Yes, I did.
How'd he look? I got
great.
some nasty comments in the chat about him early.
Yeah, I missed. He let his deep pass to JB leak to the outside. He had another missed out. You see the same comment over and over and over again that, like, I really want it for this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I really want it for this guy. I seen the way that the way that he's committed to the Buckeye program and stuck it out despite all of the talent within that room. But you got to do something with your opportunities. I mean, you competed for the job. You heard Ryan Day say in his press conference, I know it's only 2 bad passes, but at what point does the film and the practice reports hit the field? I know he hasn't had many opportunities, but he did play significant minutes in that Western Kentucky game last year, and Kyle was objectively better in that performance. There's no way to twist it. Devin Brown could have had thousands of better practices than him in the spring. When they went out and played a game, the same competition with the same talent, it didn't look the same. Yes, did Kyle have an advantage and more reps and the experience starting, but at this point, we can't be making got to shake off the you started a bowl game, you've come in and you split a quarterback competition, you were a 5-star quarterback. At some point, it has to make an appearance on the field, and it becomes, how do you argue the people that are saying we're in year 3, we're playing Akron, it's not even like the backups of another Power 5 team. You expect him to be able to hit those deep shots, especially when we've been complaining for years about Ryan not letting the backup let it loose. Right. You don't take advantage of those opportunities. It's Akron of all teams, and you want us to believe that if something were to happen to Will, that you're the guy to lead us to the promised land. I need you to be able to sustain a drive against Akron, especially when you get those opportunities. You wish the backups get opportunities. You want to see them get on the field, but once they do get them, you got to make the most out of them. And I was disappointed that we weren't able to see more out of Devin. And if he's going to need to show more when he gets on the field, or I think they're going to start looking around in that room and question, who do we need to get ready for next year?
Well, I sure hope that we do get to see more of him and he gets to rep some more, because I just, man, we might need him this year. You know what I mean? There's no way Julian Sain's ready. I definitely don't think that Lincoln's ready. And there's a decent chance with the running quarterback, he might get dinged. That might be a game or two. But we're going to need to see him at some point, I'm thinking. The odds are pretty good. We're going to see him at some point.
It's just going to be funny to use all of the people that have been rooting against Devin Brown, who aren't Devin Brown fans, that are saying the crazy things after the games about Devin Brown, use their own logic when they're complaining about how many times did we hear, if Devin Brown can't beat out Kyle McCord, we're watching Kyle McCord play, the coaches see them every day in practice, they're telling you that Kyle McCord's better than him. If Kyle's no good, this guy must be no good. Well, if you believe that Devin Brown's not good and he's the second quarterback that you have coming out on the field, what does it say about the 3 other scholarship quarterbacks that are not coming out there after him? And the one that everyone's clamoring for, we've seen him play in a game in the shoe, and it looked terrible.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I cannot stand the latching on to my guy and then crap on the other guy with the quarterback situation at Ohio State. It drives me insane. I root for all these dudes. There are guys, right? Like, I don't understand it. It's really the only really divisive thing about our fan base. I haven't seen it. I don't recall seeing it as much ever before. Well, maybe a little bit when a lot of people wanted JT to get benched. That was a pretty divisive time with quarterback. I was with you. But this whole ever since the Devin Kyle thing, like, you either dug in with Devin or you hated Devin, and then there was like everybody in between. Like, why are you guys acting like this? Like, I don't know, man. It's been a weird situation. It's been really weird, but we need something better out of him because I think we're going to see him. But I can't wait to go watch that. Ron, thank you so much for joining me, brother. You were awesome. I appreciate you filling in with my audio issue. Thank you to Chris for helping me out. We appreciate all you guys, and we're going to be out of here. We'll be back with you live on Monday at 9 a.m., and I will see you guys then. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Ron.
See ya. Appreciate you having me, Juck.
Thanks, buddy. Juck Bucks out.